I'm WG and it's time we talk about the Great Rift. So in today's video you'll be learning everything you need to know about the Great Rift in as short as an amount of time as possible, while giving you the ability to score as high of a score as you can with your account and the time investment you're willing to put into this. So we are currently on a score of 1.234 million, putting us in rank 100 and something. But let's have a look at our first few attempts, and as you see we have a score of 1,140,000 and then upwards. And if you're wondering about score, overall the scoring really goes, a million is comparatively super easy, whereas anything like a 1.2 million and above is incredibly more time consuming and difficult to get to. A simple example would be to get a score of 1 million, you need to kill the boss maybe once, maybe twice, maybe none at all. But to, for example, go above 1.2 million, you start to need to kill the boss 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 times, and those that are in the 1.3 million score range have killed the boss, I think, what was it, around 36 times total. So that is, the Great Rift, and in terms of scoring. Overall, Void and Instinct cards are naturally going to be 50% stronger, your max HP gets increased by 100%, and should you ravage the enemy, you get plus 50% damage amount to Instinct cards for this battle at 1 time per turn for up to 10 turns. And yeah, you can see how this favors Serenial, right? This favors Serenial, and Serenial makes this fight, and this fight makes her look even better than she already is. And the same is also true for the fact that for the rear guard, so your second team, you're not allowed to bring more than 1 copy of an upgrade card. If you do, they'll remove all the additional copies. So for example, if you bring a Cassius with 2 dice tricks, you're only going to be able to keep 1. So then outside of that also there is no scoring for healing, there's no scoring for shielding, it is raw damage. That is entirely what determines your score. So let's have a brief look at a couple of the runs. Once again, go a bit over the, okay, what do you need for each like scoring threshold, and then we'll go into a run and I'll show you like some rotations and the like. So first off, for a score of 1 million, we killed the first fight in, as you can see, 6 turns. And then we played, I think, around like only 3 or 4 turns realistically, because I made a mistake and I died. But important to note here is we used a empty deck, right? Meaning that in terms of what you need to bring, Selena only really matters once you want to go about that like 1.15 million and above. So before that you don't really have to consider farming a Selena, and Cassius can be super brief. What you need for your Cassius is you need the quest card, choose 1 out of 4 quests to start, so you can pick yourself the 000, and then you need the dice trick with the upgrade card, which allows you to get a secondary quest card every time you complete a quest. And that's already it. You can see all the other cards are standard, the 2 basics are cut out, and there was no particular gear. Whereas then for our Serenia, you see she had 3 homing lasers, meaning she was a 0. And what we did have here is the homing laser with the ravage on turn start, move to hand. So there's two lasers that are currently the premier choice. It's either the one that does extra damage against broken targets, the destroy/ravage laser with the double hitter, or the one that moves into your hand at the start of the turn. The one that moves into your hand at the start of the turn has more consistency, but you can still get away with using the ravage laser. The important part here then though is you'll have to get tenacity damage either from the plasma missile or from the cobalt light, or through some way potentially from a shining core giving you more lasers, so that you can get the afterglow, because that's the difference that truly matters. For the destroy laser, it doesn't have any afterglow, meaning you lose out on that tenacity damage bonus. So in terms of like just a million plus score, decks are looking quite simple. And then once we get into that like 1.1 million range, you can see we're still at close to the 1.1 million range, still no change, still no deck, still around the similar margin. And then we can already jump over here. We have ourselves a only one change, and that is to go to around 1.16 to like 1.2 million, and that is we gotta save Tactical Maneuver. So we have Tactical Maneuver twice, which is the ability to recharge the tenacity bar, which will become incredibly more obvious why that is so great so long as we go into the combat showcase. But overall, you want as many tactical maneuvers as you can get. Useful neutral cards are then going to be something like a Negotiate to give yourself more morale, and the fight shouldn't kill you no matter how much morale you give the boss, so that is still fine. And then overall, you can kind of really see a bit more of like the chase cards that other people are looking for on the Selena. One thing I have to warn you of though, if you go for high powered scope like this, when another combatant's attack card is used, 100% coordinated attack, yes, you get more attacks, but the run will also take longer, because you play an attack, shield, attack, you play an attack, shield, attack, you play an attack and shield, attack. And the same is also true for this drone bombing right here. This drone bombing says for one turn when performing a attack weakness, the important part here is it doesn't have to be from Selena. So every time you attack with Cassius, every time you attack with Serenia, you're going to be triggering that attack weakness, which is once more another hit, which obviously helps you in upping that damage, but it is also going to significantly make the run longer just time-wise, but so long as you know that, you'll be fine. And then in general, you want to just go for as few Selena cards as possible. We can have a look at our latest run. This is the deck we went into again with a bit more of these like too many marks right here. Because I still haven't yet found a deck with either 3 tactical maneuvers or anything more like that. But then we also have a bit more of an improvement in our Cassius deck, and that is we still have the choose quest, we still have the dice request, those are the most important, but getting additional jokers can help you deck search for either tactical maneuvers or any of Serenia's cards, like for example the Pale Shooting Star or Cobalt Light, should you need it in this situation. And then we have use for neutral cards, like for example the Save Generating Experiment, so you can save yourself a bit of AP by reducing the cost of one card once per turn, or the ability to play 4 cards and draw an additional one just to help with a bit of the cycling, and then potentially something like a Forbidden Eternal Hunger, though honestly this one pretty much gets used the moment it lands in hand, because hand space size is by far the thing you have to manage the most. And then I guess one last thing in terms of like decks and what you're looking for is going to be right here, the epiphanies for Cobalt Light. You either go for something like a neutral epiphany with the 2 draw, which can help you just cycle through your deck a bit more, or on the other hand we also have some like this one. You're going to have a bunch of homing lasers in your hand regardless, especially with this upgrade right here, which allows you to just create even more homing lasers every time you ravage. Or then another one that's also at least a little bit more popular is the one with the attack weakness that also does extra damage on Ravage, which would at least help you out in that sense. But then again, the Cobalt Light with the cost reduction one also becomes pretty cheap pretty quickly. So that should be overall like the base, and now we're just going to go into the fight. I give you a bit of the nuances and then we have it already done for the video. And yeah, once again, the reward of this whole thing is obviously only ever going to be pretty similar. You see these are like the gear upgrade cores. As you can see, it goes from 10 all the way to 15. No big difference here. The same is true for the gear crafting materials, which is like a fifth of a piece different. The main chase one here is just the just the look of your sticker, right? The look of your SaveData sticker going all the way from bronze to master. And you just have to see, okay, how hard do you want to grind for which colorway. So for my team 1, the only thing you need to do is kill it in 5 turns or less. How you do it is pretty irrelevant. But what we are doing here, we have a simple triple shadow reload Tresser with some curses and some cursed gouge, as well as a Mika with heal cards, heal on, for example, tactical analysis, some additional draw as the substats, and then a bit more of like filler cards. Like you can see how we, for example, have a water arrow in. So this deck is by no means optimized. And then also we have ourselves a Ray with just the heal plus the draw, so that we can get the daggers and some extra cycling, as well as an additional heal here, and then just some more, a bit more filler cards. So that is then that, and then the decks will be going in with each. But before we do that, let's briefly just go through the gear, just so you get a bit of an idea. So overall for our Serenia, we are running the 4-piece, 2-piece with 4-piece and then 2-piece crit damage. Substats wise, we're looking at around 64 on 184. For Cassius, you also want to go as offensive as possible, so we have him in the 2-piece set with then you can see it's 768 attack on around 42% crit chance with around 180 crit damage. And then here, partner wise, if you want to, you can absolutely give him a off partner, right? Somebody from a different element, just to give him more attack, because if you give him a controller partner, he just has less attack, meaning he'll deal less damage. Or you could go for someone like a Yuri as well, because Yuri could give you additional card draw in situations where you could get a higher score if you draw more cards. And then for Selena, we also have a 2-piece with pretty sweet stats. Looks pretty impressive at 40, at 201, but I gotta be honest, all things considered, I should actually swap the gear sets between the two characters, because they would give me a higher score. So now let's speedrun this Great Rift example. So for turn 1, honestly, turn 1 is super simple. As you see right here, we'll just be able to play out our, right here, our triple laser move. So let's just speedrun this. We have ourselves our turn 1 where we play out our shadow daggers and also our wave, so that we can at least play out some additional cards, but the turn is totally fine so long as you just get the shadow reloads out. And then we go into our next turn, and your goal is just to play as many shadow daggers as possible, while also potentially getting in cursed gouges and curses before that. So here we are at our end of turn 3. One of the reasons why we're not going to be playing the Forbidden Ecstasy of Violence is just as an insurance, and that is because if we go into turn 4, not only do we get our agony ticks, but more importantly, we are going to get this debuff right here on the boss. So turn 4 is really important. It has Destructive Urge on remove, change the weak action on hit, decreased by 1. What that means is that here you want, under all circumstances, to be able to hit the boss exactly 8 times or 8 times or more. As you can see, we are barely able to do so by chaining all these attacks, and the reason being for that is if you do hit the boss 8 times, you see how you activate the Dimensional Distortion, swap out your entire hand for 5 more new cards, basically giving you an entirely new turn to play, which can be incredibly crucial in being able to defeat this boss in 5 turns. And for example, also if you fail to do the 8 attacks, you're going to get hit with a massive amount of damage. Alright, and here we are at the start of turn 5. You can see we can just use the agony to kill him, so we do that, or we would just play the remaining last cards we can to make sure the boss dies, bringing us now to phase 2. The way we'll be doing this is I'll be fully giving you my thoughts, ideas, etc. on 1 or 2 turns, but by no means 10 turns, because otherwise this video would be 40 minutes long. So let's explain what you're actually seeing here. So first off, we get ourselves the 4 homing lasers drawn into our hand, and these homing lasers come from the on Ravage at the start of the turn, so they get drawn before you even do your 5 turn draw at the start of the fight. And then these 2 lasers right here are from the E2, so that is why we had 4 cards and then 2 cards, meaning we only naturally drew 4 cards, which is a bit unfortunate. If you have 4 of those and the E2, you actually lose 1 draw turn 1, but that is alright. And then we have ourselves the Shining Core Initiation, meaning we are guaranteed to draw this, and also the Sniper's Domain, so we're pretty much guaranteed to draw these 2 cards, so we only really have a draw of, 2. So what we want to do here, we obviously got lucky and we were able to play out the Popeye Popper first, so I can show you all the interactions that make this fight so hard to manage. And that is, overall mainly the 0 cost interaction, and that is at least before you get the Dice Trick upgrade card. Every time you play 3 0 cost cards, you get 1 back in the form of a 000. And you can only ever have a hand size of 10. So what you would need to do is, for example, to try and calculate, okay, how many cards will I get back on Ravage? What will exactly happen when I do what? And how do I not overcap my hand size so that you don't lose out on card value? So what we're doing here is we are just attacking the boss with our homing lasers, making sure we get close to breaking the boss, then now we can play out the shining upgrade so that when we do break the boss we get an additional 2 lasers. So we're going to break the boss, get all the homing lasers played back. Important to note here also, the homing laser used to break the target is not going to return to your hand. So what we could, for example, like you see right here, we do the homing laser here, we break the target, and you see we only get 3 of them back, not the 4th one. So that's something you have to keep in mind. So preferably if you have special homing laser, you want to play those out first and then break the boss rather than the other way around. And then right here, at least things are still pretty simple because of the fact that we are only getting triple zeros. Where the things really become complicated is once more of those get involved. So here we just naturally just play out our cards. You see the follow-up of Selena that I was talking about that is going to make this all take a little bit longer. Yep, so that is then our turn 1. And now if at any in any way, shape or form possible, we're going to be looking for our dice trick upgrade right here, so that we can now get 2 quest cards. So we now have this one active, and now we just play our first card. You see we again need to keep track of it at the top, our second card, and then our third card. Now we get 2 cards back. One of them is the full house, which is one of the more desirable ones because it allows you to cycle through your deck, and we're just going to play it out just so we have it out of the way. And then here, that's one of the other things. If we are now going to play the homing laser, we are going to break the target, get 2 more from breaking the target, but also get all our homing lasers back. So to make more hand size, we're actually going to play out the 000 first, because as you see it doesn't break the target, so that we can now play out the card and actually gain as many homing lasers back as possible. And then once again right here we play out 1 homing laser and another one, and we again get the 000 cards. And now important, you do not want to play out any heal cards. Do not play out 111s, do not play out the heal card in your Cassius deck, and that is because the boss punishes you for playing cards. You see this, Infection. On heal by card of a combatant, apply a debuff to that combatant, remove all debuffs from this unit, so not only does he become stronger, but he also progressively punishes you more the more times you heal yourself, you could say. So right here we have then the boss just putting these cards into our hand naturally. We're going to be using Tactical Maneuver to recharge the tenacity bar and then have at it with our homing lasers. Then you see we again found another straight. Can then use the devil dice to see if we can draw something that can help us break the boss here. As you can see, not quite, but we are able to break it with the 000. We get all the homing lasers again back. You see, just due to hand size, we again lost some cards. We can use the counterfeit to once again search through our deck, see what kind of cards we can find. We have the target spotted upgrade to again make some more space, and that one we are going to need because here we again play out 2 0 cost cards to get 2 more cards back. Once more another laser right here, and that is at least the end of this turn. So I think we'll do 1 more turn and then we'll actually call it here, because otherwise this video is just going to be way too damn long. So now that we have pretty much most of the tools on the field, let's play 1 full turn and see what we can do with it. Here, as I talked about it before a bit, with the Eternal Hunger we're just going to get rid of it. And then, so I always like to start off with my high value homing lasers, because if I have them played out, that means they will come back to my hand. And then here the 000s just to make some hand size space. Same is true for this card right here. We can play this out. It's again going to trigger the 000, but at least not create anything else in our hand. And then we can use the homing laser to break the boss. Get again 2 more homing lasers, get as many homing lasers as possible back. Once more, then work our way towards the 000. So right here we can use 2 of our homing lasers and then get again 2 more cards, play out the cards, play out the 000s whenever possible. And what's important here to note as well is if you kill the boss also gets an additional tenacity recharge. So once more we're looking for that tactical maneuver. Use the tactical maneuver on the boss once again play out our homing lasers so that we have them out of the way, so that they come back once we break the target. And then here we should by all means be able to break him just with triple zeros, which is what we're going to be doing. There we go. And then here, because we're currently running a Selena deck that only has one Tenacity refresh, there isn't really a choice or a chance for us to get these Tenacity refreshes later. So yeah, we can pretty much just play out most of our afterglows without any real worry. Again, kind of trying to see what we can get from the triple zero. And then the same is also true for the for the pale shooting star. The pale shooting star is going to play out 5-0 costing cards, meaning that it is for us going to complete 2 different triple zero quests right here. So you see obviously the lasers right here. And then it's going to give us exactly 4 cards. One of them again might be a draw card, allowing us to once more prolong our turn. As you can see, it wasn't quite. We'll once again try to keep the turn alive by, for example, using the Cassius ult. And then we get a bit more morale. Kill the boss. If we had been able to kill the boss, still have all the lasers in hand, we could have potentially chained another Tenacity bar recharge. But I hope it kind of becomes clear what the whole goal of this is, and that is you want to chain as many breaks into as many refreshes, into as many triple zeros as possible, and through that then continue scaling your damage to the point where Cassius just deals ridiculous numbers. So I hope that helped, and as you can see, we could have obviously gone higher in score, and for example especially those that get like 1.3 million score are now already past the million. So you really have to see, is it worth your time to grind this hard.